discussing what needs to be drawn, and Midori-san is saying that for Capcom, it's definitely an artist that's drawing it.
Oh yes, it was one of the pixel artists.
And so the original building...
Sorry, Midori-san.
Midori-san is saying, in the original building, there were 2 floors that Human was using. The first floor was the school, and the underground was where the actual development was taking place.
Could each of you gentlemen describe your role at Human Entertainment?
皆さんそれぞれヒューマンでの役割を教えてください。
僕はさっきちょっと途中になっちゃったんですけど、セプテントリオンそのキャラクターデザインでドット絵を。
Midori-san originally joined as an artist, but he felt unconfident with his skills as an artist, so he switched to the game designs department, and that's where he stayed. And there really wasn't like a director system in place, but essentially he was a director.
Midori-san
wanted to input into different games, so he asked if he could be a director, and was allowed. So he started saying that he was a director, and after a while everybody started saying I'm a director, I'm a producer, whatnot. Kono is saying that with Midori-san's team it was alright, but there were people within Human that were saying that we don't want this director system, whereas people like Suda-san were saying that we need this director system. So in that sense, it could be said that Suda-san had a vision for the future. So having meetings and saying who is for this, who is for that, that kind of meeting often takes time. So what was needed was a top-down system where the director says do this, and that influences the whole production process.
そこで初めてコウさんとメインプログラマーとして私が参加したのが初めてですかね。で、その
This is Higuchi-san. For 3 or 4 years, he was a sub-programmer, working on different titles and gaining experience. After that, came the time when PlayStation and Virtual Boy were coming out. It was decided upon that Higuchi-san needed to work on Virtual Boy, but he didn't want to, and he was willing to quit. When he said this, he said that he wanted to work with the PlayStation, and luckily at that time people were talking about bringing Clock Tower to PlayStation, and the talk was that if you're going to bring it to PlayStation, why not make Clock Tower 2? So when talks of Clock Tower 2 started to develop, he ended up becoming the main programmer.
So
I actually translated and interpreted each row.
サブルーチンコールされてればサブルーチンを貼ってこういうふうに
And if the subroutine is being called, I would bring it over here.
こういうふうに貼って一つ一つこうやって貼っていったわけですね。
And I just cut and pasted every subroutine that I had come across.
My God, that is incredible. This is from Cosmic Soldier. This.
そうです。
Yes.
Wow.
そしてこのように解析こういうふうにしてからこれを 全部きれいにこのフローチャート
And then I
に
had compiled all the information into a flowchart.
This is an incredible historical record. Thank you for sharing this with us.
すべき歴史的な記録ですね。ありがとうございます。拝見させていただきまして。
こういうふうに全部その各ルーチンごとにこれ全部こういうふうにきれいに書いて、コスミックソルジャーに関しては本当全部パーフェクトに
So I had 100% of analysis being compiled in this flowchart for the Cosmic Soldier.
これに
I understood everything about Cosmic
これを通常の営業をしながら国内営業しながら夜3時4時まで半年かけて3ヶ月かなこれにかけたのがですね。
So after I had spent 6 months on the analysis, I spent additional 3 months on compiling them into this flowchart. In the evening, after I have done work as a domestic salesperson during the day, I would stay up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to work on this.
Wow.
だからもうずっと口内炎ができて痛
So I
く
had
て寝不足
yes, I was always suffering from lack of sleep, and I would have inflammation in my mouth all the time.
でもこれをやったおかげでゲームというものはどういうふうに構成されてるかっていうのが分かったんですね。
But thanks to my hard work, I was able to educate myself on what the architecture or the structure of a game is.
This is incredible. I'm very happy to see that you've kept your collection.
この LP も含めてこれらすべてを残されているというのは素晴らしいことだと思います。
別にこれ
体験できても本当に嬉しいです。
コレクションじゃないんですけどね。
These are not collections, so to speak.
ただじゃあ自分に関わった作品
I
って
just
い
kept
う。
whatever I had been involved in.
Compression system, and that is how I came up with this editor.
Looking at this particular image here, can you recall perhaps how long it would take an artist or someone working on this, let's say, to create this detailed image here, just this image?
まあアーティストの人がデザイナーの方が実際にこのここにある画を作るのにどれくらいの時間かかったかっていうのは
Because everything would have to be, each pixel would have to be placed manually.
でやるんですけど、一番最初は
I will show you how it's made.
これやると画面単位で
Sorry, please don't mind me. I'm just getting some video footage here. This is fascinating.
So the numbers right there shown on the screen are where the enemies will appear.
Okay. Yeah, this would make, I can see how a tool such as this would make game creation or map creation much easier.
でこういうのがあればマップとかを作るときにっていうかゲームを作るときにもかなり技術的にというか簡単になるのではないか。
これがないと逆にできないですね。全体像がわかんないから。
In fact, without these numbers, it's impossible to make the game because it will be impossible to know the entire view. Music pieces, so their notes are not so accurately written on the lines.
Wow, this must have been incredibly time-consuming to then have to convert this into basically computer data and input all of the computer data on your own. How long did it take, can you recall, the music for Gandora?
It didn't even take a week actually because I couldn't read the notes. There was someone else who would read me the notes. This is go, this is Ray, and then I would make the notes into data. And then after I have made the data version of the music, I would ask for an ultimate check by the composers.
This is fascinating for me because it shows that for these older projects, you were like the enabler which facilitated the skills of every other person coming together. It wasn't simply programming some data in. It was a case of really allowing the abilities of others to work in tandem to create a game.
Yes, the programmer was like a magician.
Like a magician, exactly.
Yes, at the center of everything in the project.
Even before programmers were the central part, played a central role in making a game, central role in order for the composers to make the music, the graphic artists to make the art. Before that, programmers did everything. For example, the Haunted Cave in the Magic Garden, the programmer, I made the music, I made the graphic, I made everything. But as time passed and as the technology developed, despite that I wanted to make, I wanted to be a creator, I wanted to do the creative things, I was feeling that I was becoming a part, I was becoming like a hammer, I was becoming like just mere technology, just a mere tool and equipment. And then, despite the fact that when I started making games, when I started making the programs, I was the center part and I was the creator. Afterwards, there started to be there were different producers who would there started to be different producers and directors who would tell me to make what kind of a game and whatnot. And then that's why I had quit, because I wanted to do everything, I wanted to make everything on my own.
And when I heard that you'd lost your original copy of the magazine...
Why do you have that?
I'd like to return it to you myself and my friend, when we were researching Pitman, we wanted to see the original version, so we had a friend in Japan who used Yahoo auctions to send it to us in Europe, and now I brought it back to you. This is a gift from myself and my colleague Samuel.
Very thank you. 贈り物なんですけれども、このですね、ピットマンに関する調査を始めたところ、オリジナルバージョンがないということで、それを探そうと試みたところ、日本にですね、友人がおりましたので、彼に私たちの会にヤフーオークションで見つけてもらって、それをヨーロッパに送っていただいて、それをまた私が日本に持ち帰らせていただきました。
Someone in Japan sent it to Samuel in Germany, and then Samuel sent it to me while I was staying in France, and now I brought it back to Japan.
はい、日本の友人がまずドイツのですね、友人であるサミュエル、ドイツ宛てに送って、サミュエルがフランスに滞在している私のところに送られてきて、今度は私がこれをまた日本に持ち帰りました。すごいですね。Wow, that's amazing.
Because my address in France, and Samuel's address in Germany.
This is the only one that he was missing.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you so much.
びっくりしました。
I am so surprised.
すごい。
Wow.
ちょっと開けてもいいですか。
Can I open this?
Yes, please.
本当にこれ原本を持ってなくて、
I did not have the original.
後で移植するっていうことになったんですね。日本の携帯ゲーム機に、その時に元のソースコードがなかったんで、国会図書館まで行ってコピーをしてきたんですよ。
Yes, since I did not have the original version, I did not have the source code when there was a discussion about converting into the Japanese mobile phone system. So I had to go all the way to the Diet Library to make photocopies of this original.
よかったね。
Wow,
本当に娘とかにないのって言われて持ってない。
So our daughter was asking us, do you really do not have it? And well, we had to answer, no, we don't. Got the video.
Oh, it is. The video is.
今動画オンになってます。
ステアリングをこう切る形で。
So this is how you normally manipulate the steering wheel. Instead of just going at the same level, we decided to kind of twist and turn the wheel instead at the same time.
なので、あとここにアクセルとブレーキ
And
に
then we
相当
have
す
the
る
accelerator and the brake equivalent buttons here on the right hand side.
我々ここを平らにしたかったので。
So what we wanted to do is to level the height here for the both buttons.
でもここをこう押し込めるようにしたかったんです。
But we also wanted to keep the button pushed down.
なのでここにこうへこみを作るという。
So that is why we made a dent here.
これもかなり試作がたくさんされまして。
And we had come up with many prototypes before reaching this final product.
ここの深さが違ったり、ここ
So
のボ
we
タン配置
kind
が
of came up with different prototypes having a different depth and the height of the buttons.
で最終的にこの形状になった。
And finally we ended up with this design or form.
Were there any prototypes which had a drastically different shape to that one?
はい、プロトタイプの中でこの形状よりもかなり異なっているようなものはありましたか？
どうだったかな。結構まずなんでしょう。我々もまずここをねじるということ自体が初めてだったのでもちろん。
Well, it was our first time to actually kind of turn the
ここにもっ
controller
と
to
こ
begin
う
with.
サポートをつけるべきじゃないかというような、ここにこうもう少しこう出っ張ってこうホールドできるようにするべきじゃないかというようなものがあった。
Kind of elongated this end in a curved shape, then it would be easier for the users to hold on to.
あったようなちょっと記憶があります。
それがプロトタイプだったんですか？
Prototype.
There was one prototype having a longer end.
それ以外はあまりよく覚えてないんですけども、このボタン類も4個であることは決まっていたんですけど、その全部を押し込めるようにするべきかとか、なんかここの組み合わせも非常にたくさんいろんなバージョンを試した。
But we knew that we wanted 4 buttons on this portion, but we came up with so many prototypes, having one prototype where it allowed only one button to be held down, and so on. So there were a lot of combinations.
And we're about to take apart Namco's Negicon controller.
だったと思いますけど。
I think the last time I saw the inside was when the prototype was completed during the development phase. I believe a company, electric company called Alpsu Denki was responsible for the actual manufacturing. I think that company came up with the ultimate prototype to show them to us, but I don't remember when exactly that was.
Please take.
That's right, it looks like this.
So talk us through the
This is the switch to hold down. So here and here we have the volume switch.
Well,
by pushing this button here, this volume cylinder is activated and it rotates like that.
So as this goes in, it twists this volume switch.
スイッチが押し込まれるとこのボリュームスイッチがこちらに回転するんです。Yes, it rotates.
To produce an analog input.
Yes, this and this.
Oh wow, it's like one of those old-fashioned rotary switches. You twist it.
And I believe a similar set of mechanism was included either in here or in this side as well. And I think the volume control mechanism for this portion was installed on this side. Or it may have been in here. I'm not sure.
Let's. Oh, okay. You can just about see it. There's a little bit of oil on you, obviously to keep it lubricated. What I find interesting as well is this version has different shoulder buttons to the one you have.
Yes, you're right.
But they both have the same model number, 101.
101という型番は同じですね。
そうですね。不思議ですね。多分こちらの方が
Well, this one.
本当の一番最初のだと。ここの
This was
仕
the
込みが
real original. That's the way the buttons are pushed into.
So does it bring back memories of when they were still prototyping it?
こういう作業されますと、また当時ですね、試作品取り組んで頃のことが蘇ってきます。
そうですね。
Yes. You might want to talk to different people about how this came into existence. I was just taking part in only part of it.
I think it's more fun this way though.
でもこうやった方が楽しいですよ。
多分直った。
Oh, fantastic. Well, of course, you would be the expert to ask.
そうですよね。やっぱり専門家に任せるのが一番ですよね。
あとちょっとネジを強く締めれば。
And you might just want to tighten up a little bit.
Yeah, excellent. Like, describe your recollections of the time.
I remember that we were very much concerned about the strength ですか。
ストレングス、ここですね。ここが壊れやすいと考えていたので。
We thought this place would be particularly fragile.
で、まあその先ほど言った。
The person who actually tested the controller tended to be quite aggressive and turn the controller right.
Much simpler mechanism on the inside here.
This one is the only volume here on this side.
これもそうだと思うんですけども、片方だけボリュームで、こちらはボリュームではない。
So this one is the volume on the one side, and the other one is not the volume.
でやはりちょっと先ほど私言ったように、ここ自身の中にこの部分のボリュームが入っているんですね。
And the volume controller is inside here on this side, on the back of this thing.
この部分に入ってるんですね。
In this compartment here.
Then as you twist it, you can see it turning the cogs.
それで、that's your comment.
Sure. Talk us. Have a twist of it.
じゃあ、ねじっていただけますか。
これをですか。
So neji literally means twist in Japanese.
Yes. Nejiru is to twist.
So there's a volume control for the left shoulder button. But there isn't a volume control for the right shoulder button.
That's correct. So we had the automobile controller in mind in designing this. I think that is the reasoning behind why. So we had accelerators, brakes, and clutches for
なので3個のボリュームのコントローラーを入れたかったという。
manual automobile. So we wanted to insert 3 different volume controllers. Retrospectively, I think if we had another volume controller on this side, it could have been more diverse in terms of the game variety.
So there's one here for the clutch and then one for accelerate and brake. And this has a spring so that you think it's an analog one, but it's just a digital input. An unreleased golf game that would have made use of the Negicon controller. Please give us a demonstration of how it would work.
Like this, and then you would hit the ball like this.
こう打つって
So
いう。
while you swing, you twist the Nijikon.
So in a way, it was like a precursor to Nintendo's Wii.
で、Nintendo Wii の前兆のような。
ただまあ2つの理由でこのプロジェクトはダメになったんですね。
Well, this project fell through for two reasons. Most of the golf players back then were the upper class people, and they would make complaints looking at the way we swing with Nijikon. They complained that we did not swing your club that way.
ゴルフはねじらないというふうに言われ
And
てしまったんです。
we were notified that you don't swing or twist your clubs when you swing.
あともう一つはソニーからみんなのゴルフという非常にまあ後々も続いていく有名なタイトルが出るんですけども。
And then Sony released a golf game called Minna no Golf, which was quite long living. And if we were to commercialize this idea, we would be competing against Sony's Minna no Golf. So we decided not to produce this as a product.
Well, see, that's awesome. We've discovered an unreleased game that would have used the Nejikon to play golf with. That's excellent. Scenery on the train ride from Tokyo to Kobe. It's about 3 hours and 18 minutes.
This
game is based on this comic and another game called Shoplifter. And this is what the screen looks like. About half, or the bottom half is underground, and there's a helicopter flying above it, and that's you. And let's say this is the enemy base. This is my base or your own base. And this is the missile. And that's my ship. My helicopter.
This is a game where you are to destroy the missile by dropping a bomb here and making a hole. And this scrolls sideways. There are about 16 screens to both sides, and there are missiles coming in from this direction underground, and you try to bomb that missile by making a hole in the ground, and you try to protect your base. PC だとワンパターンかというのを音のデモンストレーション、ビデオ撮影して音と撮っておきたいのでお願いします。
いい？スタート。
Yes.
ファミコンはなんかピシッみたいな音でピシッピシッピシッぐらいで低い音も出ます。でも PC エンジンはピシッピシッピシッピシッぐらいしか出ない。つまり高い音しか出ない。低い音が出ない。だから高い音はいいんだけどドス聞いた音、爆発音みたいな音をノイズで作るのがかなり難しかったというよりも当時ほとんど投げかけてたんですよね。って感じですか。
Yes, and then tell us about the loud explosion when you make samples.
サンプリングを使うとドンとかドロンドロンドロンとかなんとかそういうだからまあサンプリングを使うとドンとかピシッとかなんかそういうドスの聞いた音が出せると。
Thank you very much for explaining this. I'm glad that I heard the explanation from an expert who deals with audio programming.
So it looked something like this.
This was the bespoke system used at Taito.
個別の各マシンにはキーボードじゃない。
But each machine did not have a
鉄の
keyboard,
箱。
but instead it just had a steel box
鉄の箱、ジョイスティック。
comprising a joystick
普
and
通のゲームセンターのゲームのボタン丸い。
and game buttons that you can find at regular game centers.
So this is a table.
No, we actually pulled out the television from the game center games and then we have installed that screen into a dedicated box. But what's inside it was the television screen that was used at game centers.
Did you have yourself computer and programming skills?
ご自身もコンピューターのプログラミングスキルをお持ち。No programming
私はこれをドットで絵を描くとか。
I was responsible for actually drawing pictures in a dot method using these buttons and joysticks.
Did you take any photos at the time of this setup?
No.
So this could be a world first then, this image here.
Well, this was only used in Taito settings.
And when you joined Taito, was this station already here, or were they created while you were in Taito?
So when I joined the company, this part was not existing. We only these were the only ones that were existing.
だからセーブができない。
So that is why I could not save the images that I drew on the screen. So once I show up at work in the morning, I would take a look at what is drawn on the paper, and I would type in the same image onto the screen. And before I leave work, I would copy whatever I had added onto the screen onto the paper.
In '83, it was kind of archaic system. Do you remember having any trouble, like shortage, so you lost all your work?
そこまではなかったですね。
No, I don't remember any incident of that sort.
逆に紙だとなくなりませんし。
Of course, once you copy them on paper medium, it would not go away. You would not lose it. And the disk had just, did not have so many errors.
怖かったのは、基板の暴走、ハングアップ。
Well, I was more considered of the motherboard being hung up due to the heat or static electricity.
So
yes, it just went off.
So you could lose the work of one day?
だから、1日に何回かセーブしなきゃいけ
So
ない。
I would save a couple of times during the day in order to prevent that from happening. Quick's motherboard was quite high maintenance. So even if I turned on the switch of the screen, I would see error messages
そう
sometimes.
すると、ここを開けて、
In which case I
基板
had
を出
to
す。
open up the front in order to pull out the substrate, and in order to diffuse the static electricity piled up on the substrate, I would pull it out and wrap it up on a table and just like hit it a few times. And once the static electricity is gone, I would insert this motherboard back into its own original place again, and then it works.
Sorry, did he say wrap it up in a towel?
Yes.
Or
今から考えると信じられないくらいこう。
It's kind of unbelievable
バカバカしい話ですけど。
and looking back as to what we were doing.
一緒に出てきた。
あれのやつだ。
最近書いたやつです。マサさん見せたっけ？
うん、これ見たんだ。
これはこれを現代風にアレンジして
That's beautiful.
Thank you very much. これが初めて NCS でやった仕事です。
これ立体作ったもんね。
作りましたね。色光とかサンページに入れるとか。ライトニングバッカス。シミュレーションゲームだっけ？ですか。やってけばよかった。ライトニングバッカス。もう8898X6
X6 はなかったんじゃなかった？
やりました。
やった？
And the PC engines draws using dots like this, right? And the picture of the dots being used here will be replaced like this. So the dots in this grid will be kind of replaced.
In a constant loop.
連続したループですね。That's correct. So although it's just the one piece of paper, this portion has a different movement than the rest. And we would be running them at different speeds on these three different layers, or the shelves, or whatever you call it.
手前は速く、後ろは遠くは遅く。
So we would run the speed faster for the ones that's sticking out, and the ones towards the back would be running at a slower speed.
So this would be its own individual block with an image scrolling in a loop inside it, and so there would be 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. And then these 3 blocks would also move along the entire screen.
That's correct. So although it's just a plain piece of flat paper, by changing the speed and all, we can create a depth of field. And we used to draw characters in the sprite, and this would act as an animation. This was a very transparent small board. This was the old methodology. So we would place this transparent boards here. And since this transparent board has totally different speed compared to those in the back, we can create a totally different image, having its own speed velocity. And the character is running right here.
そうすると、1、2、3、4、5、6。
So you have six different parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're running at different speeds. Each one of them different.
This Shubibinman 3 is one of my favorite games on the PC Engine. To hear your description like this, it sounds like a true form of artistry which is lost today with modern technology.
Well, you don't have to work this hard and create the same effect in a much more simpler manner. There are other special effects. There's a fall. There's a plane where the fall is the waterfalls.
Oh yes, yes.
And behind the waterfall, there is a wall.
壁の表面をこう流れてるのがありましたね。
Yes, there is a waterfall that runs on the surface of the wall. Do you remember? はい。
あれも半透明は使ってないです。
And we no longer use opaque or half transparent board anymore for that.
1枚目。
That's only one picture.
Oh wow, okay.
And the way we did it was
こうドットでこう
So they are gradated, and each gradation has slightly different colors. So we have 4 different colors: A, B, C, and D. So we would sequentially differentiate the color from A to B, B to C, C to D, and then we will go back to A once again.
Have them cycling through.
And then cycle ができるわけですね。
色は使ってる。でもこれだと後ろ側の壁がありませんよね。
But then you do not have a background wall in this case, right? はい。
これとはまた別の
So we would insert a different color that was not used before called color C.
これは青。
Sorry, sorry. Yeah, so basically these colors A through D are blue type colors, but we would insert a new color called F, which is much more darker blue than the rest of the colors. So what we do is to kind of overlay this new color F onto these colors as to draw a brick type kind of graphic onto it. So even if the colors A through D are circulating in a cyclical basis, the F stays the same. So you would have like a dark blue kind of brick behind these colors.
そうすると、壁の表面を薄く水が流れていく。
So then it can create, it has an effect to create an image as if the waterfall is falling down the surface of the wall.
Well, it's the 7th of October, and I'm at the airport, ready for my flight to Sapporo and Hokkaido, which at the time seemed like a really good idea. Fly to the Northern Island, interview some guys, maybe go to Zoom company that made Mr. Mosquito. Fortunately, in the cold, harsh light of the morning, having woken up at 4 a.m., suddenly it doesn't seem like such a good idea anymore. And we're interviewing this morning our professional photographer, Nicholas Datish. How do you feel about flying to Hokkaido this morning?
The weather outside is not good, so the feeling is not really good too.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention, Mr. Datish, you dislike aeroplanes?
I don't really like airplane, I prefer train. No choice, so go by plane every time. So it's not the best moment in my life inside plane.
Because I heard this morning a few aeroplanes have been cancelled due to a typhoon.
Yeah, but we go to the north, so it's okay. The typhoon is on the south now, so...
Unless the typhoon chases us and we have to make an emergency landing in Pyongyang or something.
Yeah, Pyongyang would be good. I always want to go to North Korea, so...
Good photo opportunities there.
Maybe good food, I don't know. I don't know.
That might be our boarding call. Guess I'll see you on the other side. Unless the plane crashes, in which case this might be the last ever recording I make. You know what they say? Buy the tickets, take the ride.
No, you can't.
Oh yeah.
So is it just a still?
Oh yeah, it's just still photos.
Oh.
斉藤節でございますな。アイスストーンって俺ですか。ガルフライドがそうなんですよ。
Sapporo, I mean, it's a city, but it's... This is us en route to the Hudson factory. Still a bit of a walk, but I thought I'd shoot a little bit of video. And we are en route to the abandoned Hudson laboratory. Do you know when it was abandoned, Matt?
Early 90s.
Early 90s. I'm here with, can I give you a real name for the DVD, or?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Matt. And he's guiding us to, we're in Hokkaido right now, near Sapporo, in Sapporo.
We're in Sapporo, on the outskirts.
We're on the outskirts of Sapporo, and you can just see the Hudson lab in the distance. This is where hue cards were born, and no doubt many other awesome things. Kind of sad to think that Hudson, which created many beloved series, and several items of hardware, game-playing hardware, doesn't even exist anymore. Swallowed up by Konami and absorbed and then disappeared. I mean, can you imagine Nintendo just not existing in a decade's time? The building on the right is unrelated to Hudson, but
disappear, and you can, well, you'll be able to see it more, but you see the
the balcony with the railing just coming out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He wanted, in his high-tech laboratory, he wanted to have a miniature train going through the building.
And that's where the name Hudson comes from, because it's named after the locomotive vehicle.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And here we are walking up to the... Oh, look, how sad is that? It's got like yellow tape around it so no one can get close. Old leaves everywhere. The memories that existed within these walls. The old Hudson labs. Oh, you can see the train tracks. Check it out. Responsible for many a fond memory. Among so many players in Japan, America and Europe. I remember on YouTube there's a clip of I think the president of Hudson riding the train along the...
So was it the research center or the HQ?
No, the headquarters was in downtown Sapporo.
Yes.
This was, I think, strictly a hardware development lab.
Yes. Okay.
And you can also see the little clock face on the front.
Yeah.
And that's a common feature in the Hudson buildings. Actually, the Hudson headquarters in Tokyo as well also had that clock face, and it's sort of an emblem of Hokkaido. Because one of the Hokkaido landmarks is the Tokeidai, which is the clock tower. And so they wanted to replicate the clock tower in their buildings to kind of show their pride at being a Hokkaido company.
So it was built by Hudson.
Yeah.
Here we are at the front of the Hudson laboratory, and this sign says no entry. It's kind of sad to think that you can go from creating one of the earliest CD add-ons for video games, a pioneer in so many ways, creating multiple hardware variants, and then to end up like this. What a tragic fall from grace for...
I don't know if it was used by another company after Hudson left.
Not as far as I know. I think Hudson was the last one to use this, and then they sold it. I mean, they divested themselves of most of their assets. And I guess in maybe early 2000s, because they had some money.
So even they moved to Tokyo, they kept the building for research and development, you mean?
No, I think when they moved the headquarters from Sapporo to Tokyo, I think they sold this off.
Yes, but this was quite an early time, like 90 something.
Yeah, this was. This building was constructed in 1992, 93.
I've crossed the yellow line, technically breaking the law, filming this, but I wanted to get a nice close shot of those tracks there. To think what went on behind these walls. Bye-bye, Hudson. This is old Hudson office equipment. Who knows what kind of prototypes were developed. And here we are at the Preservation Society. as explained by Mr. Joseph Redon. They do archiving, restoration, all sorts. It's incredible. I feel like a kid in a sweet store looking over all of this stuff. Oh look, there's a PC Engine CD-ROM tucked away under there. That's where the magic happens. PC98, 2 different units. This is a Famicom titler we have here. These output actual RGB. Something I think is interesting is that isn't actually a clock. That's specifically to measure temperature and humidity.
Yes.
In the laboratory.
Yes.
Joseph Redon of the Game Preservation Society is about to show us precisely what is involved in the preservation of a PC88 disc. Now, talk us through the process. This is this basically a standard PC88 disk drive with various cables attached to it?
No. We need to have the best resolution as possible, so we're using high density drives. So this is quite recent stuff. This drive was made 10 years ago.
For use with a Windows operating system, or which hardware was it?
Yes, for Windows or DOS.
All of the... I've noticed some very specialized technical equipment around this laboratory. How much would all of this... Not the games hardware, but for example, the disc readers and the floppy emulator type devices. How much would all the technical equipment cost?
Wow, the drives definitely cost a lot because we need reliable drives, if possible, brand new ones, and the production of floppy disk drive, I mean 5 inches. Stopped 10 years ago.
Talk us through briefly some of the equipment that you've just switched on here.
Yeah, this is a custom PC88 I'm using for testing preserved materials. So we are playing back remastered game on the real hardware.
So this is basically you strip the outside frame off it.
Yes.
And you, for example, what are those 2 items at the back there? What are they?
Oh, this is to replace disk drives. So the floppy is calculated on this computer, and then the result is streamed through USB to this, and then it will react as the real floppy disk drives.
It's so basically an HXC floppy emulator.
For this computer, if we have a perfectly remastered version of the floppy disk, there will be no difference between the real disk and what is streamed from the PC.
Fantastic. Now, this looks like rather a complicated setup here. Is this, I mean, are you the first person to have created this style of setup, or did you ask other people who had done this before?
Yeah, I think PC is done widely all over the world with a lot of PCs, but to be frank, not many people are doing this in Japan. So me, Mr. Fukuda, and I don't know. You
mentioned this was a PC-88. Do you have a similar setup for like a PC-98, a Sharp X1?
Oh yeah, we have all computers available here, so we can do testing on almost any system. There are many computers which have no games on it. So as I'm not a hardware collector, I don't buy them. But there is, on the contrary, a very few computers which have games, but I don't have the computer. They are very difficult to find.
And which computers would these be?
For example, there is a Hitachi MBS1. This one is quite difficult to get.
The items here were for repairing a deco cassette system.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing at the moment. Well, there is no... I mean, the desks are changing like every week, every month. So it depends on what we are working on. So yes, at this moment it's just repairing the 3 deco cassette decks.
So like in a month's time there could be a completely different set of computers and everything on you?
Yes. So here we have MSX2, MSX, Sony MSX, and we have PC 6001, the very first model.
This is what one of the Nausicaa games was released on, isn't that correct?
Yes, there is one version Nausicaa games for this computer, and another version for the first MSX, and a third version for PC-88. And this is more recent. This one. This is an evolved version of the PC 6001 called Mr PC. So it has two drives. The first PC-88. So the first PC-88 had no disk drive, and this is external disk drive. Old version of PC-98. We have one here, which has no internal disk drive, so you have to use a huge, big external disk drive, like this one.
And am I correct in believing that the external drive for the PC-88 is actually heavier than the computer itself?
Yes, true.
Now, you showed me a computer here earlier on, the PC-98 you pointed to. How many computers are here? If the number, because I see there's quite a few in pink bubble wrap.
I have no idea. I just know that I have all the computers I need to test, preserve games, or to make some research.
Describe the process earlier on, because it started off. We were over there at that drive, and that was a high density drive, you described it as, and you were sampling a DOS disk, is that correct?
Yes.
It was transferred to this computer here, and then it went to this computer, and it was streamed directly into the floppy emulator of this PC-88 unit.
Yes, correct.
So what are these units here that I'm looking at?
Well, it's mostly stuff to use to read. All you have here is stuff to read EPROMs, static, this kind of chips, or also memory from console games. But anyway, it's EPROM anyway.
What is the most Actually, there's a couple of interesting looking items over here. Is there anything of note in this corner here?
Well, we're mostly dealing with tapes here. Just reading tapes. And also some pretty old records that contain data.
Game data, very old LPs that contain game data.
Or OS, like basic OS for old computer boards.
That's incredible. So the basic programming language or operating system would be contained as data on like a vinyl LP, basically.
Yes.
Now let me just start filming before I actually enter the upstairs room, because it's quite surprising when you get in here. A wall of boxes. Now, these boxes, what do these boxes contain, Joseph?
I think it's 99% PC games. 7,000.
7,000 games.
At least 3,000 at home.
This is where they were in Chamonix, in Nice.
So these video cassettes were taken by Yu Suzuki when he was traveling around Europe, and Mr.
the two of them.
The two of you, doing research for Outrun.
Outrunのために。
Wow.
That's exactly.
So, just read some of the titles on this.
Yeah, this is Europe #2. I think the period it's 1986, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is also in Europe, in Monte Carlo and then Monaco.
Wow.
Again, Monaco. I think the dates are April and May.
So, it was just Mr. Ishii and
Monte Carlo, Chamonix, and Nice.
It was just Mr. Ishii and Mr. Suzuki together in a car.
二人きりで車で。
Was it a red convertible?
BM の5シリーズを借りたんですけど。BMW
はい。You know, they rented the BMW and we were running on the autobahn in Germany and running at 200 kilometers an hour. It's actually on the tape.
Wow!
And both of them were just shouting, really excited when they're running. Oh, look, it's more than 200 kilometers an hour.
This is a fantastic historical record. I'm really glad you've kept it, because I've heard some stories about how archive items such as this have been destroyed after they've been used. So I'm really pleased to see that you've still got them. You must try to find a way to back them up digitally back them up onto computers and put them on the RSS website or on YouTube or something.
I will try.
I mean, I'm actually producing a DVD to go alongside my book, and I think the world would really love to see footage of this.
Get ready.
He will try, he'll look at this and he will contact you again about it.
Oh, thank you very much. Please don't throw them away. Look after them and...
ぜひ絶対処分しないでくださいって大事にしてください。
Yeah. ありがとうございました。Thank you very much.
Thank you.
これが、何台かあったんです。
And we had a couple of these.
ちゃんとネットワークしていて。
And they were networked.
で、ディスクもあったと。
And of course we had a disk.
共有ディスク。
A shared disk.
シェアディスク。で、これ HDD ですね。
Can you remember how much the hard drive held? How much memory?
容量は覚えてますかね?
覚えてるけど多分
I remember, but I think
500 MB.
Yes.
This would have been about 1989?
1986.
Oh, 1986.
で、これがいわゆるこの端末がかける4つ。
Have these terminals, 4 of these terminals.
で、もう一つは
And one more was
アイスインサーキットエミュレーターっていうアイスっていうのがありましてですね。
Was this device called ICE?
In circuit emulator.
ここに
So on the Famicom,
ファミコンに挿すと
and you stick this in a Famicom, and
ここテレビが普通にあって
and we have here a TV set, and then you have here the image displayed on the screen.
まあ当然コントローラー
And of course you also have a controller
ついてると
like this console.
Do you have any message for English fans?
Yeah. Hi, hello. Is it okay to speak now?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'm still making game, even though I don't know what happen next. But maybe in 1 year I can show something. Please, looking forward to seeing my game in future.
I don't like 多分こうこうこう
So are these desks?
デスク 1234567
Is it okay to film this? We're just recording Mr. Kimura drawing a layout sketch of the Love Delete offices. He was the music composer, and these were keyboards.
いやいや、キーボードがあったね。
And here was an N64, and they were playing GoldenEye and Star Fox 4 plays, and sometimes they'd sit on these couches and eat lunch. And the company president, did you say there was one here and one here? Two presidents at opposite ends of the building.
そうだね。
喧嘩しないように。
ここがキッチンだ。ここがキッチン。で、なんか本当our love link error, the manager woman, she made lunch or dinner often.
Wow.
Almost every day. Yeah. We are eating together. Like we are a big family. It was.
How many people were there altogether?
I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. だからここにあきらくんがいて、工藤くんがいて。堀くんがキラくん工藤くんもう一個作らんのか。1234でここが倉島がいて、俺がいて、そうだな、こんなもんだな。人で言うと123456789101112ここに一人いるわけだから。
12 people-ish?
12 or 13.
13 people.
Board game you've made.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Oh, that's fantastic. And it's just with dice? And is it a race to the top?
Yeah, like this. Like this. Then 1, 2, 3. Yes.
So these are the jaggers, the potatoes.
Yeah, potato. This is Baron, Red Baron.
Red Baron.
And this is this is なんていう博士って doctor.
Doctor.
And this is father, daddy.
The father.
And son. Each one called potato night, and each one is going competing to go to top of the castle to help the queen of the potatoes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And the father and the boy and doctor or this baron, each one is fighting each one. So there is no relationship. This and this is a family, but this and this is not family.
The Red Baron looks a little bit like the main character in Junko, a little bit.
Because of I'm making, so it's same. So I you notice.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's wonderful.
And this is this is very good like this. If you do like this, automatically like this.
All right, all of them or?
Yeah, なんか Of course, I have to do like this. Or this is very comfortable like this.
Oh, look, the little one. He's
yeah,
really good,
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you can't keep the little one down.
ここがヘビーになってる。ヘビーパート。You like?
I love it. I think this is wonderful.
これ。This. I like this picture. This is Japan. Japan Island.
So Kyushu, Hokkaido.
And my idea is, long time ago, the island was big creature, and they became born, and a lot of other small creatures start to live on the bone. Then it's become Japan.
On the bones, yeah. Oh, so the mountains. What would Mount Fuji be? Would it be like a large?
Mount Fuji is one of big bone.
A big bone sticking up. This could make a really good game, actually.
Oh yes. Maybe I like make the world.
So there was these were the sort of things you would hide around. They were generated at random, and then various what do we call them? Not barbarians. Savages would chase you. There was a car. There was like a highway here, possibly. Not exactly sure what they were.
あなたを追いかけてくるわけですね。で、
ちょっとタイミングが良かったら、
タイミング彼がここに来ます。はい。同時人がここに来ます。これが来ます。
なるほど。
でも彼は死なないですね。
はいはいはい。
This is amazing. I'm actually really sorry to hear it was never released.
確か思い出してきたぞ。ここでは死なない。はい。車。でこれが押されてですね。
で同人がその車に
ずここまで来て、ここに来て、
車にガチャンとで、それはプレイヤーの書き取りです。
ここで、
でそれは目標ですね。ゲーム目標。Okay. I'm changing my answer from earlier about what the goal of Dojin was, and you were chased in through a randomly generated forest, and there would be cars coming possibly up and down or maybe just down the road, and if you could get the Dojin to cross the road at a point where a car would hit it, it would be killed.
Oh, okay.
It would be crushed by the car, squished by the car, and it would be there were walls on the outside, and it would be shoved along by the car and squashed into the wall.
Okay.
So the kuruma waこ
ここ往復する。
So it wasn't a highway.
Not a highway.
Okay. Change their mind again. Ferals would be chasing you through a forest or through these areas. There would be a sort of a car or a
like pistol action.
Like a moving block going up and down. If you could time it so a savage was crossing this area, as this thing at the right time, it would push them into one of the north or the south walls and squish them, and that's how you...
And you could hide in these little spaces here to avoid them.
Spaces.
That's incredible.
Like random...
No. これね、壊せるの。クラッシャブルウォール。
Ah, you could break through these walls.
Okay.
To create paths. And then in the middle is a I don't know what you call it, a piston that would crush.
Like a steamroller, maybe going backwards and forwards.
Backwards and forwards, like a pendulum.
そう。プレイヤーが1回で壊れる。プレイヤー can crash this wall. Dodging can several times attack and crash.
Ah, okay. The player could blast through the walls in one go, but the natives, the savages, couldn't. They would take them some time to get through the walls.
Oh, so you could create the maze as you wanted.
Paths, yeah.
Wow. And this was for the Commodore business machine.
逃げれば逃げるほどその追いかけやすくなってくるね。相手が通れる。そうだった。
Ah. The way the game progress was, as you kept running away, you would have to knock down more and more walls, or the savages would knock down more and more walls, so it became much harder to avoid them because they were being held up by walls less and less.
作れよ。
で、同時に全員をこのなんていうか車に殺したらプレイヤーの勝ちとはゲームオーバーになる。ゲームオーバーというかグッドエンドみたいな感じ。So if you could get every single one of the ferals killed by that crushing machine before they caught you, that was how you won the game.
Wow. I would guess that there isn't even any documentation on this in Japanese.
日本語でもこのゲームについての情報は
全くないですね。本当にインターナルだから。
Absolutely just here.
Well, gentlemen, it's a bit of a journalistic first. Thank you very much for sharing this.
Scoop me, thanks.
Maybe one or two title employees or former title employees may know it.
Might know it.
Mr. Takaguchi, could you describe to me this MSX prototype here?
Yes.
So this is an original MSX1 model.
Yes, MSX1's prototype. This particular example was lent to Asahi Shimbun to make a book about MSX.
Lent to it by?
I think it's Microsoft or ASCII. I do not know which.
And obviously they kept it. And then does this belong to you now? This?
No. This company is.
Oh, this company.
These are in the museum.
Oh, the museum. Oh, wow. Awesome. Of Asahi Net. Fantastic. So, I mean, have you ever switched it on? Do you know if it still works?
Thesis ROM.
So before the MSX home computer went into mass production, they produced this prototype.
Yes.
This is one of two prototypes, did you say?
I don't know. I don't know how many there were.
Looking at an original MSX prototype unit. So, do you know which year this was produced in?
Maybe 84? When was the first MSX produced?
That's an excellent question. Unfortunately, the exact date escapes me.
5にはもうだってゲームアーツが出来上がってるからね。そうだからいや certainly it was 83 or late 80 early 84だと思います。
MSX1 ですか。
MSX。Oh, so you are videoing it.
Because I know there's a big MSX fan community in Holland, because it was very popular, the MSX series. So I know a lot of Dutch people are going to be very happy to see video footage of this original prototype.
And this is Theseus' final ROM, I think.
So this would have been put into a cartridge then to be played
but
on.
If you put it here, it works. I think this I gave to Morita-san after the interview.
Oh wow, awesome.
中身はこれ動かしたことあるんですよ。
ちゃんと消えないで残ってる。
いや、ある時まではあります。
Yeah, you're looking at history here. One of the first MSX computer prototypes. We're here at the office of Mr. Hayashida, the creator of Alex Kidd, and I'm about to have a Junkin match with him. So, Junkin-po, Junkin-po. Oh, that's one loss to me, one point to Mr. Hayashida. Let's see who best out of three.
3回で、はい。
Junkin-po, Junkin-po. Oh, 1-all. Oh, it's a bit of a tiebreaker around here. Who will win? Okay. Junkin-po. Oh, and I lost. As if there was any doubt that that the master would not win this match. Well done. Thank you very much for that that match. And Okay, here we are wandering down Nakano Broadway. Please explain to us where we're heading. And this is for the DVD. You can be on the DVD.
Oh, it's a famous place where you can find toys, video game, cosplay.
Sorry, please introduce yourself and the company you work for our viewers.
I'm Benjamin Perret from Pix and Love.
Pix and Love, the French magazine you probably know and seen. It did those excellent Nintendo volumes. We just happened to bump into each other in Akihabara because that's where the cool journalists bump into each other.
At Super Potato.
At Super Potato.
At the end of this arcade will be the Mania shop.
Oh, the Mania shops for the games and other related items. Wow, a shop dedicated just to cosplay. That's incredible. Oh, another Mandaraka shop. Sorry, you were explaining these are incredibly rare.
Yeah.
So these gold editions, these were awarded as prizes.
Yeah. This dodgeball is maybe only 8 versions of which were produced in world on one of it. Yeah, Vampire actually are gold. Two is Castlevania.
Oh wow!
Game.
That's the Mega Drive version.
Yeah.
Excellent. And how much? Does it even have a price tag? Or?
Not have a price, but maybe it's 2 million yen.
Wow, 2 million. Oh, and check this out. This is also rare. This is Nausicaa for the MSX.
Yeah, rare.
In fact, when I was writing an article on it, I don't recall seeing a clean cover art image online. So this could be quite useful. Wow, nice selection they've got here.
Shinryu Senki in Raze game.
Wow, awesome. Oh, it's a shame they close at 8.
Yeah. They open at 12 and clock at 8.
Yeah, I didn't realize they opened so, like in Akihabara, most places only open at 11.
Yeah.
So I got up early. I thought, okay, I'll get to Akihabara early. I got there at 10 o'clock, but nothing was open.
Yeah. At 10 o'clock sometime in the weekend you can find some shops are open, but almost of them open at 11 or 12.
Just looking at some video game related toys. Here's a character from Tronbon at 15,000 yen. That's about £100. Whereas this old Metroid toy from the original Metroid is considerably less, nearly half the price.
A lot of Tamagotchi.
Oh, this is Kinnikuman.
Yeah, on all our gum. But expensive. It was.
Wow, 26,000 for that character there. Unbelievable. Bloody hell. They're really crammed in there tightly. Barely any room to move. Wow. There appears to be some kind of tournament going on here. This isn't exactly video game related, but this store is certainly something else, quite unique, genuinely unique. We had a look at this yesterday, this very expensive toy here, but let's have a look inside. This is for the true collectors. 100,000 yen. My God, that's $1,000. I bet every kid who had one of these and then threw it away as the years went on must feel somewhat disappointed. Unbelievable. Bloody hell, 300,000 yen. Just so that everyone knows the kind of routine, here we have my photographer Nicholas Dadish taking photographs of Mr. Yoshikawa, who we recently interviewed regarding his work on Diva and Ruinsworth. But this is how it goes down here in Tokyo when we're taking interviews and shooting photos and sometimes a little bit of video. Normally we find if an interview isn't taken in someone's office, then at a quaint little coffee store nearby, and we interview for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and then afterwards we find a suitable location for photography, and I pass the job over to Nico to take some high quality shots. If you look through the book, actually, the majority of the high quality monochrome photos have been taken by him, my professional cameraman for this trip. And this is what we do here in Tokyo each day of the trip. 10 weeks, wild ride of non-stop interviewing, pure gonzo journalism right there. The heart of Japan. History of video game development.